we would have to cut Calvin right down the middle. 4% of Calvin would be other religions, and 4% of Calvin would be people who have no religion. So, what is the fastest growing religious category in our country? Yeah, people who have no religion. Now, let's talk about Tasia for a minute here. In 1970, she was 2% Muslim. And today she's 4%. So Islam has doubled in size since 1970. Now, how do we explain to ourselves that story? What is the growth of Islam due to? Was there a Muslim Billy Graham going around and selling out big stadiums and playing Just As I Am? No, what's happening? It's immigration, yeah. Now, what's interesting is that about 60% of all immigrants are actually already Christian. Did you know that? Yeah. 60% of immigrants to our country are already Christian. So part of our decline is actually being disguised by people who are already Christian. And part of the growth of Islam is also immigration. How do we explain the growth of these two? So Islam doubled in size. This used to be 4%, now it's 24%. That's much larger, much bigger. How do we explain the growth here? What's happening?
Jimmy Swaggart.
Jimmy Swaggart, okay? Yeah. Well, there's a Canadian sociologist I want you to pay attention to. Write down his name here if you can. His name is Joel Thiessen. He wrote a book called The Meaning of Sunday, and he interviews this group of people down here. And he said, tell me about your life. Tell me who you are. And what he discovered is folks down here experience becoming a non, often in conversion-like terms. I once was lost, now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. I used to be a judgmental jerk. Now, I can love anybody I want. I used to be restricted and repressed. I used to have no freedom, and now I have freedom. My mind is enslaved to terrible ideas. My mind is now open. I'm free. For the first time in my life, I'm free. That is the story of Canada. At one time, our whole country, the Canadian project was started by the British Empire, if you may recall. And they saw world domination as part of their destiny. And Christianity played a big role in their destiny of being the dominant force. And when they created Canada, it was designed to establish their dominance through the church. And so all of society was tilted, it's like the floor was tilted in this direction.
That's right.
And now the floor appears to be tilting the opposite direction. Here is the problem. Christianity has never depended on governments for its capacity to reach others. But our Christianity does. Our way of life does. We're so mad that there's no prayer in schools. Let me ask you, what good would it be to ask her to pray the Lord's Prayer every day? What would it do to her? Is that going to make her a Christian? Is that going to do anything to make these people Christians? Because our experience of Christianity in Canada is not 70% of the people we know are Christians. Right? That's not your experience, is it? If it is, I'd like to know where you live. No, our experience is that being a serious Christian, a regular part of church life, is actually kind of rare. So, what is going on here? Well, there is the challenge of to be Canadian, used to be Christian. And again, I'm not sure if you want to recover that, because to be Christian also meant to be loyal subject to the British Empire. Those two things were tied together too. And to be Christian meant we were here to kill the natives, to establish our colony, to drive our stake in the ground. So I don't know if you want to return to that wonderful period of our history. I don't. I'll be sitting down. So let's talk a little bit about our Christians here, people in Canada who identify as Christians. How many of them are a regular part of a local congregation? So they go about one or two of every 5 Sundays. That's a regular attendance. 30%, 40%. We're talking about the whole, like we're talking everybody here, Catholic, United, Anglican, Pentecostal, Evangelical. It's actually 19%. Okay? So it's these two here on the end. These folks, I don't know how to subdivide them because they're not very well studied people. And they oscillate a lot. But let's just say we're going to have to cut you in half a little bit. So just bump you down a bit, and you just kind of stretch your arms out there. Remain in contact with your people. Okay, so there's an element here where these folks are kind of like our Creaster Christians. They could probably name their local congregation, but their local congregation probably couldn't name them. Okay? They come twice a year, and it's probably where they would like to be married. It's probably where they would like to be buried. Maybe. And every year, like they're going to be in our church in a couple of weeks, right? At Easter. Yes. And we're gonna do the whole song and dance routine. Hope you to track them back.
Just as I am.
Just as I am. Play it 44 times. Becomes effective on the 42nd. So these folks, often when we do church planting, this is actually some of the group we're most focused on. Even worse, when we do church planting, really what we're doing is just swapping people between these two.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. We're not growing. Evangelicalism in Canada, when it first started, was about 8%. And we're about that today. And where do our numbers come from? Well, they come from us having babies. And it comes from immigration. And about 6 or 7%, maybe, from conversion. Maybe. And then these folks here, we call them cultural Christians. So it's something that they say. So you're at a dinner party with me, you ask me where am I from, I will say I'm German, because I have a German last name. But that's about as German as I get, really. I don't know anybody in Germany. If I went there on vacation, I would have no one to stay with. I don't cheer for them in the World Cup or the Olympics, but I do like sausage and sauerkraut. So I should count for something, but it shouldn't count for very much. So when this group of people are growing, often what's happening is this group of people are just becoming this group of people. That's a big majority of it. People who have never truly, fully, ever identified with Jesus or following Jesus are just finally saying, I'm not really a Christian. I'm not really German. Like, if you ask me on a survey, I might keep saying I'm German until you're like, but are you really? No, not at all. So a majority of what's happening here is that, but lots of things are happening down here. Did you know that the Catholic Church loses 80% of its young people by the age of 18? Evangelicals, we do way better than the Catholics. 60%. We lose by the age of 18. You know when we actually lose them? 18 is just when their bodies leave the door. When do their minds and their hearts go? 12. 12, when they transition from our children's ministry to just before we have sort of young adults. And then by 16, they're saying, Mom and Dad, I don't want to go. And some mom and dads say, okay. And others hold on for a couple more years. And then by 18, when they're on their own, going to university. It's not university that causes people to lose. Please stop that ridiculous thought. You're nuts if you think that's it. Because if you listen to these folks, who are made up of people who used to be down here, many, these folks tell you at 12, I didn't believe you. Do you know what the main reason that young people say they leave? Do you know, have you guys read Hemorrhaging Faith? You guys know what I'm talking about here? My parents are different people on Sunday than the rest of the week. That's it. I'm sorry to all the youth pastors here, you don't count. You don't figure into whether kids stay or leave. Really, you don't. You're like number 15 on the list. I want you to keep doing what you're doing, please. But your ministry and everything you care about doesn't matter. I can't because I care. We have a very serious challenge in that we don't live credible lives in front of our kids. Our lives are not believable. Therefore, our faith is not believable. There are other issues at work here. And one of the challenges I have, this is one of the things I want you to do some serious thinking about. If you took a look at your church's budget, if you looked at their time investment, if you looked at the people that figure into the minds of the decision makers in your congregation, who are they majority focused on? What people group? These two. That is the Antichrist. Jesus said he's the good shepherd and he leaves the 99 to go after the one. And we are leaving the 81% to go after the 19. We're going in the opposite direction, friends. We're going in the opposite direction. I actually don't care about our numbers. I don't care that our churches are shrinking. Why don't I care? Because I don't want to be asked to prop up an institution that creates a decade after decade after decade of this story. I have no loyalty to that institution. I don't. It doesn't mean I don't believe in the church. Please don't hear me incorrectly. I really do believe in the church. But I don't think it's always found in our institutions. I think those two things are different things. And what we have to start doing is taking into account our actual responsibility in Canada. Who are we responsible for? Who have we been sent to? All of them. Our responsibility is all Canadians to go into all of the world and share the gospel. But I'm afraid that's just not what's happening, and that's what we need to correct. And I want us to resist try to come up with the reasons why right now. I just want us to sit with this reality for a couple minutes. Okay? All right, let's give a hand to our faithful and helpful God. I actually left the clicker back there. Could you just advance the slide for me? I want to talk to you a little bit about the nuns. And let's get a bit of a description here. I'm going to go fast through this, Kevin. We're going to go quickly. Here's something. By the way, all my slides will be made available to you, so don't take pictures of the screen. You can have the real divinely inspired originals. Some duns have become nuns. Not all nuns are duns, and some duns are not going to become nuns. I'll leave that one for you to figure out later. Let's take a quick look at the nuns. I want you to understand that the way in which Canadians are secular is unique in the world. We don't have a Canadian version of Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Daniel Dennett, because that's too aggressive. Canadians are more about faith and Christianity than they